it's not safe out there. And then the president said it's about to get even less safe. He said, quote, "We haven't even started hitting them hard. The big wave hasn't even happened. The big one is coming soon."
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, it is your sweet Zionist prince, Tall the Traveling Clad, exhausted from a long day of running the bomb shelters and obviously unfortunate ballistic missile impacts very close to where I was. More on that later in this video. Let's take a look at this war update. What's going on with the with this Iran-Israel U.S. war that is kicking off in the Middle East. Apologies for the
this program is
oopsie, sorry about that. Little technical difficulties. I'm not in my home studio.
And thank everybody for being here, and please feel free to sit. So before we begin this important ceremony, and there's no ceremony that can be much more important than this, let me provide a brief update on Operation Epic Fury. Today, the United States military continues to carry out large-scale combat operations in Iran to eliminate the grave threats posed to America by this terrible terrorist regime. Following our obliteration of Iran's nuclear program in Operation Midnight Hammer a short while ago, we warned Iran not to make any attempt to rebuild at a different location because they were unable to use the ones that we so powerfully blew up. But they ignored those warnings and refused to cease their pursuit of nuclear weapons. In addition, the regime's conventional ballistic missile program was growing rapidly and dramatically, and this posed a very clear, colossal threat to America and our forces stationed overseas. The regime already had missiles capable of hitting Europe and our bases, both local and overseas, and would soon have had missiles capable of reaching our beautiful America. The purpose of this fast-growing missile program was to shield their nuclear weapon development and make it extraordinarily difficult for anyone to stop them from making these highly forbidden by us nuclear weapons. We were the ones that were complaining. We were the ones that wanted it stopped, but everybody was behind us. They just didn't have the courage to say so. An Iranian regime armed with long-range missiles and nuclear weapons would be an intolerable threat to the Middle East, but also to the American people. Our country itself would be under threat, and it was very nearly under threat. I was very proud to have knocked out the Iran nuclear deal by President Barack Hussein Obama. That was a horrible, horrible, dangerous document. They would have had nuclear weapons 3 years ago, and they would have used them. But I'll not let that happen. For almost 47 years, this regime has been attacking the United States and killing Americans. Every time you see someone with missing arms and legs or a face that's been absolutely shattered violently, it was almost certainly caused by an Iran roadside bomb. They were put there by General Soleimani, who was the father of the roadside bomb. Very proudly, he thought, but I terminated him in my first term. This was our last best chance to strike what we're doing right now and eliminate the intolerable threats posed by this sick and sinister regime, and they are indeed sick and sinister. Our objectives are clear. First, we're destroying Iran's missile capabilities, and you see that happening on an hourly basis, and their capacity to produce brand new ones, and pretty good ones they make. Second, we're annihilating their Navy. We've knocked out already 10 ships. They're at the bottom of the sea. Third, we're ensuring that the world's #1 sponsor of terror can never obtain a nuclear weapon, never going to have a nuclear weapon. I said that from the beginning. They're never going to have a nuclear weapon. They were on the road to getting one legitimately through a deal that was signed foolishly by our country. And finally, we're ensuring that the Iranian regime cannot continue to arm, fund, and direct terrorist armies outside of their borders. And we thought we had a deal, but then they backed out. And they came back, and we thought we had a deal, and they backed out. I said, you can't deal with these people. You got to do it the right way. Today, we grieve for the 4 heroic American service members who have been killed in action and send our love and support to their families. In their memory, we continue this mission with ferocious, unyielding resolve to crush the threat this terrorist regime poses to the American people, and a threat indeed it is.
So we have much more of an update there coming very soon from Donald Trump. There's quite a bit extra. So we have more here from Bibi Netanyahu from Bet Shemesh. Yesterday there was a massive, obviously, terror barrage from the Islamic regime in Bet Shemesh, killing a bunch of civilians and destroying civilian homes, which is the only thing the Islamic regime of Iran has been able to accomplish so far, is just a war on civilians and exclusively on civilians. Here's Bibi Netanyahu's comments. I don't know why my Twitter is acting up. Give me a moment, folks. Sorry again about that, folks. Not in my home studio right now.
This is the third day of the Operation Roaring Lion, the operation the Israeli army and the state of Israel set out to, with our great friends, the United States of America and President Trump, to thwart existential threats to Israel and great threats to America and the entire world. When I stand here in a place that was bombarded by the terrorists in Tehran against innocent civilians, you see the difference. The tyrants of Tehran target civilians. We target the tyrants of Tehran to protect civilians. I've said for many years that they threaten not only Israel and not only America. They chant death to Israel, death to America. That's their ultimate target. But I said that they would also target those in between, that they would target Europe. They did. And if this regime, this terrorist regime of the kind we've never seen in the world, if they get nuclear weapons and the means to deliver them, ballistic missiles, intercontinental ballistic missiles, they will threaten all of humanity.
Yep.
So we set out to protect ourselves, but in so doing, we protect many others. And I want to say special thanks to our great friend and a great leader of the world, Donald Trump, for joining us in this crucial effort to save the world. Thank you.
Each day, sir, this war.
Yep, this is true.
It looks like Lebanese Hezbollah has entered the fight. Yesterday or last night, we got notification that they began rocket launches into northern Israel, and they eventually claimed responsibility for this, saying, quote, "This operation was carried out to avenge the pure blood of the leader of the Muslims, Ali Khamenei, which was unjustly shed by the criminal Zionist enemy, and in defense of Lebanon and its people in response to the repeated aggressions of the Israeli regime." In response, we saw Israel was ready for this. I'm not entirely clear the effectiveness of the strikes. It looks like some of the Hezbollah rockets may have fizzled out, maybe weren't exactly ready to go. Israel immediately began retaliatory strikes on targets all across Lebanon. The commander of the Northern Command, Major General Milo, said the strikes will continue and their intensity will increase. Now, Hezbollah has been heavily degraded over the course of the last couple of years, but they do still have a pretty significant missile, rocket, and drone stockpile. So when you look at how the Israeli invasion into southern Lebanon a little over a year ago, and they were able to take out a lot of Hezbollah's locations, and of course through the pager operation and subsequent airstrikes across Lebanon, almost all of the Hezbollah leadership was killed. Something that was not dealt with, from what we can tell from publicly available information, was Hezbollah's drone, missile, and rocket arsenal. A lot of that was underground. We have seen footage in recent years showing the scope of some of these facilities. They're driving trucks through them. Hezbollah does still pose a threat. In this case, it looks like they're specifically going after Israel, but some of these munitions are a little bit bigger and could be used to target U.S. bases in the region as well.
In response to the rockets fired from Lebanon towards Israel, the IDF precisely struck senior Hezbollah terrorists in Beirut. Dozens of Hezbollah and Iranian terrorist regime command centers in a site that was used by Hezbollah to store weapons in Tyre. The IDF is prepared for multiple front scenario to combat any threat posed to Israel and Israeli civilians, which is true. We know the IDF really is prepared for all of this. Our soldiers on every border. And again, in America, we've had in Scotland, we had a major stabbing event by a migrant attacker. Let's take a look here. This is scary as this is heating up all over the world right now. These stabbings and shooting attacks keep happening by supposedly Muslim assailants. This one I'm not specifically positive on, but there was another one in Ohio overnight apparently. There's a migrant stabber. I don't want to make a statement and say he is Muslim. I'm not sure. Wow, that's the aftermath of the stabbing. So we're heading into very dark days. We knew that this was a risk, yeah? Like we've always talked about this particular scenario potentially happening where the Islamic regime of Iran would be cornered and start using sleeper cells all across the world. And it looks like this may be happening. Historic, for the first time ever, Israel used the Iron Beam to intercept rockets by Hezbollah. These are the interceptions by Israel's Iron Beam, which is a new laser system. Again, this is all, we're testing new tech during this war. We are really finding out the IDF's true capabilities. And, besides some minor missiles hitting, which is horrible, mostly the defense capabilities are unbelievable, truly unbelievable. New, the Mossad posts a video in Persian vowing to overthrow the Iranian regime, which is amazing. I like this coming out. It says the leading oppressors have been eliminated and those who remain are fleeing in panic. I do like this imagery coming out of the IDF is very important. The Mossad is showing us that, hey, we are coming one by one. We are going to destroy you. And here is the total summary of what's actually going on the ground in the region. Iran hit 14 countries in one night. Here's what happened to each. 9 dead in Beit Shemesh, flattened by ballistic missiles. UAE, Burj Al Arab on fire. Abu Dhabi Airport, 1 dead, 7 injured. Dubai Airport, concourse hit, 4 wounded. Flights in chaos. Bahrain, U.S. Navy 5th Fleet headquarters, massive fire. Black smoke visible for miles. Stray missile hit an apartment block full of civilians in Bahrain. Kuwait Airport terminal struck. Ali Al Salem Air Base bombed. Qatar Al Udeid Air Base hit, largest U.S. base in the entire Middle East. Saudi Arabia Riyadh explosions at night. Saudi prince secretly asked Trump to bomb Iran first. This is from the Washington Post. Jordan, ballistic missiles intercepted, burning debris rained on civilian areas. Iraq, U.S. military bases across the country targeted. Oman struck by Iranian missiles. Syria targeted in the wave. Cyprus RAF Akartorti UK base directly hit by Iran. There's been more in Cyprus since that. France, a UK NATO ally military base attacked for the first time. France camp de la Paix in UAE struck, and NATO camp at Ali Al Salem in Kuwait bombed by Italy, or from Italy. Aftermath: oil up 13% in one day to $82 a barrel. Gold surging past 53,000. Strait of Hormuz disrupted 20% of the world's oil flow going through. Flights suspended across the Gulf. 170 ballistic missiles fired in 24 hours. Saudi prince asked the U.S. to start this war. Iran made sure everyone around him paid the price. This is not a regional conflict. This is the beginning of something much bigger. I don't know if I would believe that this is part of something much bigger. Don't know if I would go as far as to say this is World War III. We can joke around it. It does feel like it, but I don't know if that's what I would say. I personally don't feel it. But here's Pete Hegseth giving more commentary.
To the media outlets and political left screaming endless wars, stop. This is not Iraq. This is not endless. I was there for both. Our generation knows better, and so does this president. He called the last 20 years of nation-building wars dumb, and he's right. This is the opposite. This operation is a clear, devastating, decisive mission. Destroy the missile threat, destroy the Navy, no nukes. Israel has clear missions as well, for which we are grateful. Capable partners, as we've said since the beginning, capable partners are good partners. Unlike so many of our traditional allies who wring their hands and clutch their pearls, hemming and hawing about the use of force.
I could not agree with that more. So many of the America's allies have said all this bullshit about why it's bad to intervene, and he continued on to say,
turns out the regime who chanted death to America and death to Israel was gifted death from America and death from Israel.
Beautiful.
This is not a so-called regime change war, but the regime sure did change, and the world is better off for it.
That was maybe not the strongest of usage of words, in my opinion, when people are fearing regime change. I think we should just say what it is outright. It is a regime change war, and we shouldn't be embarrassed about that. That regime has to go. Senator Sheehy, a Navy SEAL, says these strikes are about protecting U.S. service members from Iran. As we can see, they are now very dangerous towards U.S. service members.
Back to Iraq, saying this is reminding them of Iraq. Why is this not the same thing?
You know, where were the calls to protect American service members when our embassy was captured, when our boats were captured under the Obama administration, when our servicemen were captured and tortured, skinned to death on camera, when our servicemen have been murdered by the hundreds, by the thousands, by the Iranian regime, and the response from the Susan Rices and the Ben Rhodes and the Jake Sullivans was to send billions of dollars in cash to the Iranians and begging them to please stop being mean to us, please stop being mean to the free world. And what did they do in return? They launched rockets. They launched the October 7th attacks and literally brutally tortured and murdered families in front of their family members. Every time we give them an inch, they take a mile and they kill more people. So if they're so worried about protecting American servicemen, Aisha, they should be supporting exactly what's going on right now, because the American servicemen are sick and tired of watching their brothers and sisters be slaughtered by the Iranian regime and nothing being done in response. And the President Trump is the first president ever
actually do something about it.
Idiotic regime to finally stand up and kill these bastards for what they've been doing for us for far too long. So if we're going to protect American servicemen, this is the way to do it.
I agree wholeheartedly. I agree. This is the way. Peace through strength. That's what we say. So, you know, this situation, very, very clear that Iran and the Islamic regime has to go down. Not Iran, but the Islamic regime of Iran has to go down. Hegseth, we will finish this war on America first conditions of Trump's choosing. I like that everyone line up under Donald Trump and say, we are under the leadership of our president. We follow his orders, and let's get this shit done. Let's free Iran once and for all. And this is just in: Iran strikes Saudi Arabia's Aramco Ras Tanura oil refinery. Wow. Absolutely wild. And there's probably much more of that to come, by the way, as they decrease their launches against Israel, which probably will be happening. They'll probably be increasing their launches against the Gulf states in preparation for the end of this. A video posted by a member of Iran's National Army showing him burning Khamenei's photo while declaring that he will no longer fight for the Islamic regime.
جنگ کنونی ایران و آمریکا جنگی علیه کشور و ملت ایران نیست. این جنگ بر علیه رژیم خونخوار و جنایتکار جمهوری اسلامی است که در تظاهرات دی‌ماه 1404 هزار فرزند ایران را به خاک خون کشیدند. ما سربازان ارتش ملی ایران به جنبش و انقلاب ملی پیوسته و از تمامی اقشار ملی درخواست داریم به این جنبش آزادی ملحق شوند. خاکم خاک ایران، جانم فدای ایران.
An absolute hero. An absolute hero. And you know, the situation in Iran is still volatile. While the regime is losing its power, if they find out who this man is, he will be executed. Yes, Khamenei is dead, and yes, Khamenei is dead, and we're in a different reality now, a less powerful regime, but we're still in a regime. That regime is not gone, and it still wages an element of power. Just in, CENTCOM confirms U.S. F-15 fighter jets were shot down by mistake by Kuwait air defenses. Thankfully, all 6 air crew ejected.
Doing here, Kuwait looks as though through their missile defense has taken out 2 of our planes. You'll see some of that video shortly. They've done that. Thankfully, our pilots are okay, but this is the type of mass coordination that has to be pulled off. You got armies in these Arab states. They have their own missile defense. We have our units, and on the other side, you also have Israel working. So the coordination's got to be exquisite. Sometimes doing here, Kuwait looks as though.
You're fine? Really? You need something to help you? No problem, you're safe. You're safe. Everything good? No problem. Thank you for helping us. Everything perfect?
Yeah, if you guys saw the videos today of those 2 F-15s, or that one F-15 that was kind of spiraling out of the air. It shocked a lot of people, and nobody was certain exactly what was going on. Both the pilot and the weapon system aboard the U.S. Air Force F-15 Strike Eagle that crashed over Kuwait this morning in a reportedly friendly fire have appeared to survive. They were taken into the custody of the locals there. They ejected with their parachutes. And here they are being picked up by the Kuwaitis one by one. This is actually the video of the spiraling out of control of that F-15. Pretty shocking video. Luckily, it was not an Iranian strike. And we won't give that win to the Islamic regime of Iran. But very scary situation as it goes down and then explodes. Boom. So very, very, again, very tense. The whole Middle East has erupted into a war zone now. Things like this are expected to happen. Here's again the friendly fire, the aftermath of the friendly fire in Kuwait. You can see him with his breathing apparatus in there, the back of the truck being picked up and dropped off. And here we are with our final coverage. The Iranian Crown Prince, Reza Pahlavi, is claiming that the end of the regime is here. Let's take a look at this clip.
Fox News alert, Iran's supreme leader and more than 40 senior regime figures, up to 49, have been killed, eliminated. Let's turn to the wall right now to take a look at who they are and what they do. First off, the guys that are still alive. This is the guy that's pretty much in charge, calling the shots. He was the one who gave the order and executed the order to kill civilians, 32,000 plus, and kill them in their hospital beds, and then charge the families for the bullets used to kill their own family. These are some of the Khamenei related to the previous Ayatollah, the first one, Ayatollah Khamenei, who was presiding and leading during the hostage crisis. These are some of the others that are still around. These are the ones that have been eliminated. There you go, taken out in one swoop because idiotically they got together at 8 in the morning. We got word of it. The CIA gave the word to Israel and the IDF took them out. The president's still alive. He does not have much power. Khamenei over there is still around. We're going to see who the next successor is. They plan on doing that within the next 72 hours. But joining us now to put in perspective is somebody that might be leading Iran in the future, and his family has led Iran in the past. Let's bring in Reza Pahlavi, the exiled crown prince of Iran. He's making his pitch to lead the transition to democracy, pledging free and fair election. Mr. Pahlavi, thanks so much for joining us. Your thoughts, your thoughts right now at this hour? We're 48 hours in.
First, I want to share with you the sense of jubilation that millions of Iranians and the diaspora around the world have celebrated the death of the top henchman or monster of this regime, Ali Khamenei, and we thank President Trump for having brought us to a point of thinking that now we have a real chance to take over our country. This intervention was really what equalized the playing field for us. This is something we've been arguing all this time. People were asking for this intervention. The intervention did occur. So now we believe that the end is very near, and the opportunity to take our country back and bring it back to the right path is now available to us. The Iranian people are now mobilizing for it. I've cautioned them to wait for the entire campaign to pan out, so it's safer for them then to re-enter the streets, and hopefully this will happen very soon.
So here is the foreign minister talking about his reality on the ground, or the one he wanted to relay. I think it was on Face the Nation. Watch.
Well, I think now there is a procedure set in our constitution that when we lose the supreme leader, there would be a new one elected by the Assembly of Experts. And now we have started the procedure. There is a transitional council of the president, the head of judiciary, and one jurist of the Guardian Council. These three would decide, are in charge right now, and they will actually arrange the election of the new leader by the assembly of experts, and the members of the assembly of experts are elected themselves by the people, every 4 years.
How do you feel about the transition after wiping out 49 at 48? They said no big deal.
Look, this is obviously a desperate signs of a regime that is trying to convince the world that, yes, we have continuity, yes, we have a system. Look at the writing on the wall. The regime that has for a long time lost complete legitimacy, at the advent of this massacre of last month, has led to leaders around the world to conclude that this regime can no longer be legitimate based on what it does. There's a shift in foreign policy and attitude vis-à-vis this regime that until now, for 4 decades, was treated with an attitude of appeasement and engaging them, hoping that they will change their behavior. This time is different. Right. This time the world recognizes that the source of everything that has led us to this point, of all instability, radicalism, terrorism, right, nuclear threat, and what have you, is embodied in the system that is on the verge of collapse.
Mr. Pahlavi,
the opportunity to cut the snake's head and be done with them.
There's 91 people. They said there's 91 million people in Iran. How many support you and your family?
I think if you refer to recent demonstrations in Iran, you will see that people by the millions have chanted my name, have asked me to step in, to be there for them, which is exactly what I'm doing. I know I enjoy great support within Iran and within the diaspora. I've been able to coalesce the Iranian activists, political leaders, representative of ethnic groups, monarchists and Republicans, people on the left, right, and center, all those who believe that we have to have a future democratic system, the final form of it to be decided by the people. Right. We believe in a process that would lead us to free and fair elections to determine that. I'm here to lead that movement, to bring a stable transition, right, to make sure that every step is taken the right way, and I have a plan for all of that.
The president said he planned on this operation being 4 weeks. When do you plan on going back?
Look, if you were to give me the opportunity to say to the Iranian people and the world, when is it that I go back there? It will be the first minute I get the opportunity to do that, and that has to be, of course, orchestrated properly. I'm ready to go there as soon as possible. I would like to be there, whether it is before the regime collapses or right after the regime collapses. It is important for me to be among my compatriots to fight the final battle and bring it to fruition.
All right. His family was exiled back in 1979. Iran has not had a stable day since. Reza.
I agree. And we have had so much talk from so many political pundits on whether his legitimacy is true or not because he's not there. Here's the reality. He wants to go. Let's get him in. Let's make the reality there that he can actually go in and do what needs to be done. In addition to this, by the way, for those of you guys who don't know, there was an attack today, a ballistic missile that actually landed in Beersheba in the south of Israel. I actually got a chance to go see the crater. Horrible situation, but I had a very important message, which hopefully, if the editors got it right now, will be played here. And that's the end of this video. I'll see you guys in the next one. I love you long time. Goodbye, class. Rolling. Ladies and gentlemen, I am down south in Israel in Beersheba, in the city of Beersheba. We are at the impact of a ballistic missile from Iran right now. This is the crater from one of these ballistic missiles. You can see how deep it is. We're looking at something like around a 5 or 6 foot crater from an impact. Massive. Right here in a civilian neighborhood. You can see these are just buildings of regular citizens of Israel. No army infrastructure here to be found. Right here to the right, there's a basketball court. As we know, these Islamists really like striking people where they like to enjoy and have entertainment. And look at this. For all the propaganda that these are the moral people on Ramadan, they decided to strike a school where Muslims may be studying as well. That's our amazing IRGC, our Islamic Republic Revolutionary Guard Corps. Right here, they struck a children's school. Come with me. Look at this. We've got bricks that could impact and kill children. We've got glass exploded everywhere. This right here is our peace-loving Islamic regime, ladies and gentlemen. The Ayatollah Khamenei's government right here, this is it. But I want to send one message in this video. This war seems very scary. You can see People's homes have been destroyed. On the other side of the street right now, there's a mass evacuation basically going on. Citizens are leaving with their suitcases. They're packing up their bags. They're getting ready to leave. People's homes, their AC units have been destroyed. Everything has been destroyed here. It looks terrible. It feels terrible. But they're not going to win this war. This is the reality on the ground. You cannot win a war when you target only civilians. There is no military strategy here, as I've been covering for the last 3 days. They're not trying to hit any army infrastructure. There's no army base here. There's no IDF here. There's no Mossad. There's no secret intelligence. This is just children, women, and homes of families, dogs, pet dogs and cats. You can't win a war like that. So people here, the mainstream media is here as well, I-24 News, whoever it be. They're coming here to cover the story. It's going to scare you a little bit. Look at the impact site. People are injured. People are... No. We are not afraid. We are not scared of this. This doesn't faze us in the bit. I was in the bomb shelter when this rocket fell. I felt it with my whole body. The whole bomb shelter shook, and it was like 2 kilometers away from me. Doesn't scare me, and it shouldn't scare you. You cannot win a war when you wage it exclusively on civilians. You will lose this. The IRGC will lose this. America, Israel, Iran will win this war.